Greetings, class. We will be presenting on the appeal to doubtful authority and false misleading statistics. Our group members are Casiana and Brenda Alvarez. We would like to start off by telling you all a little story of a Belizean couple making their way to Placencia. Now, they were on a road trip, and on their way, they seemed to have been in a bit of a fight for some sort of reason. Now, they were trying to break the ice, and on their way, they saw to the left of them, in some open pastures, they saw farm animals, and these consisted of cows, of pigs, of horses, and the husband jokingly looked at his wife and said, "Honey, aren't those your family members?" And the wife looked at him, intrigued, and she also replied. She was like, "Of course they're my family members. Don't you recognize them? They're my in-laws." And the husband just kept quiet. So quite obviously they argued. And since we're on the point of arguments, I would like to define an argument for you all, but this time in the English language. An argument is the main idea of a piece. It is usually embodied by the thesis statement of an essay. An argument is a claim made by the writer, usually based on solid evidence to support their point. So an argument is basically the writer's position. This leads us into what is a fallacy. A fallacy is usually a false statement or an irrelevant statement that tends to weaken the strength of your argument. And by explaining what is a fallacy, we can most naturally go on to explain what is a fallacious statement. A fallacious statement can be any statement or any line or any sentence in a piece that is defined as false or irrelevant. And these statements usually degrade the strength of the standing argumentative points presented by the writer. They are often easily identified by the lack of evidence existing to support such statement. Explaining this allows us to come to our topic, which is the appeal to doubtful authority and false misleading statistics. This brings us into our first topic, which is appeal to doubtful authority. This basically says that we would be questioning the credibility of the source. To do this, we must raise questions based on the expertise. Also, we must question if the source can be identified. Is it possible to link the source to a specific name or organization that would further add to its credibility? Thirdly, is the person making the claim an expert in said field? This is very important, since the last thing we would want is maybe a doctor, someone with a doctorate in mathematics making a claim about some issue in medicine. I mean, everything is linked at the end of the day, but we still need our experts to stick to their field. Lastly, we would ask that it is preferred that the person holds no biased position on the topic in question. This is done so that the experts can have the most objective opinion and the most objective claim, thus making it more credible. There are plenty examples of this, but we shall name a few. This is like if in the future one of the viewers decide that they want to write an informative piece on appeal to doubtful authority and false misleading statements, and they would cite either Casiana or Brenda as a credible source. Now, this becomes a problem because although group members here did their research and are informing you on this topic, they are not exactly experts. Next, we could also use an example like if, let's say, John was writing an argumentative piece on climate change, but he cites Leonardo DiCaprio, the famous activist against global warming against climate change as a credible source. Now, although Mr. DiCaprio has extensive research done, he has funded many things in this field. Mr. DiCaprio is not an expert. He pays experts to come up with answers for him. So technically, he is not really a credible source. And lastly, a simple example could be taking medical advice from maybe a doctor in maths. This brings us to our other topic, which is false misleading statistics. This is usually seen as persuasive data, non-factual data, and at times it can be completely made up. It can be defined as confusing correlation with causation. This means that just because two things happen to occur at the same time, it doesn't mean that they're directly related. This also brings about post hoc. The post hoc fallacy is that stating that a statistic A is caused by statistic B just because A follows B. Some examples of this would be stating that people eat more ice cream in the summer as compared to the winter time, and people also drown more in the summer as compared to the winter. They would then suggest that they are interrelated or one scenario is caused by the other. Another example would be claiming that the installation of a new software crashes your computer just because one event transpired coincidentally before the next. Thank you all for your undivided attention. We leave you all with 4 basic questions. 1. What is an argument? 2. What is a fallacy? 3. What do you understand by appeal to doubtful authority? And 4. What are misleading statistics? We are confident that you all can understand these questions and can answer them to the fullest based on our PowerPoints. Thank you again.